Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Liz and this is Let's Get Lizical, where we do everything card making, except the first day of every month where we do a planner page. But again, as mentioned in previous months, you could always use this as inspiration for a card. And today I'm going to be using Mama Elephant's raccoon set, which I think is called Playful Raccoons, but I'll link it down in the description below. And I'm using this brick wall pattern paper that I got off of either Wish or Temu. It was probably Temu, like a long time ago. And I haven't even used it, but I thought that this was a good opportunity. I saw a lot of cards where people did like the brick wall behind the raccoons and with the trash can and everything, so that kind of inspired this. So I'm cutting my panel to 1/16 of an inch less than 6 inches and 1/16 extra on 3.5, if that makes sense. The measurements are just a little off. I just measured the dots on my dot grid. You could probably measure it out in millimeters or centimeters. It might be a little bit more precise because the inches are a little bit more difficult. But anyway, I just went 5 dots in from each edge and left a border, and that was the measurement that I got. For the monthly titles, at the beginning of the year, I kind of cut all of the months out. It was a couple of months in, I think, when I started doing it. But I just cut out the first 3 letters of each month, put them in little baggies so that I had them ready, so I could just pull them out and stick them on for the month and didn't have to worry about pulling out the die cutting machine and everything every time, just in case I wasn't using it. I brought the dies out for this, but I don't end up using them because I wanted to just like quickly fussy cut these out. The dies cut areas for like the hands and the inside of the trash can out, and because I'm using sticker paper, I didn't want it to rip the sticker. And so I decided not to use the dies, I just fussy cut them. But this does have coordinating dies and I do have them. And I'm not even using my Misty today because originally I was going to color these using my Crayolas, but I decided to try it out with alcohol ink today. I'm pretty sure I've used alcohol ink on these before. They do make the lines bleed a little, but like not a ton, so it's okay to use alcohol markers on this paper. I would just be a little bit more careful when you go to edges of lines and stuff because it does bleed a little bit. Just to be a little bit more careful and maybe keep the marker a little bit away from the line. You kind of like get the feel of it after doing it for a bit, but you might want to do just like a few tester images just to be sure. Here I am. I'm picking out my pencil crayons. I'm getting ready to actually color everything, and I colored the apples in completely with the pencil crayons, but then I decided to switch over to the markers. So you'll see me do that. But I'm just trying to find the proper colors. Like there's red here. Usually the red for Crayola, I use like the mahogany color to shade with, which wasn't in the same package because it's kind of a bit more of a reddish brown. But it is like a good darker shade to the red color if that's what you're looking for. And I was just gonna, again, color these all in using my pencil crayons. But I decided I wanted something a little bit more bold and solid than the pencil crayons because the pencil crayons leave texture and just, look a little bit more childish in a way. I have no problem using it for any of my other months. I just didn't want to use it this month. That's all. I'm just being sour about it, I guess. I don't know. But I colored in the apples and I didn't love them. So I decided to switch it over to the markers, which I like better, but you can see a little bit here that the red bleeds out, and then I'm just using my white gel pen to help fix that. I use it as a whiteout pen a lot, and it works pretty good. So just to clean up the lines, I just, use that and get rid of the bleed. And then I was like, okay, I like this better, so I'm going to stamp the other 2 as I wanted 3 of the red apples. And then you'll see in a second here that the red marker was a little bit extra juicy because it just kind of like blobs out on this second one here, right there. Yeah, see that? Look how it bleeds. And then when I like took it off screen there, it kind of like shot some ink out. It almost like blood splatter. It was so crazy. But I think because I have these markers in an angled marker holder, like they sit up on a little bit of a tilt. The Olo markers, because they don't have felt barrels, I mean, all markers, like the ink will like gravitate towards the bottom. So it was gravitating towards this specific marker because this was the bottom marker. There's two markers in there. You just kind of screw them together if you haven't seen them before. And originally, I know for Copics, if you open the other end, it kind of like lets it like breathe or something, and then it stops doing that. But then I realized, I was like, wait, there's a different marker altogether on the other end, so it's not gonna help. So I just kind of like dabbed off some of the ink on some scrap paper that I had and just, you know, laid it flat on my desk for now. I'm probably gonna have to get a different marker holder now, especially if I'm switching over to the Olos eventually. A lot of my markers I do have here are fine, and there's felt on the inside, so it's not quite as bad. If it gets dry on the one end, you just use the other end. But I do probably need something different for these Olos because they are two individual markers, and I don't want that to happen again. It was a lot of ink. It was a little crazy. But anyway, that was my fiasco for these. Now I'm using the warm gray markers to color in the raccoons. It's a bit more on the brownish side, I guess. Not as gray as I wanted it to be. I should use the cool grays for these too, but I didn't want the trash can and the panda to be the same type of gray. So that's why I went with the warm grays. And they're okay. They're cute. I still like them. I love these images. They're adorable. It was one of the suggestions that I sent to Mama Elephant, so it was kind of fun that they did that. So I do have the agenda set and this set, and I love them. They're adorable. They're so fat. And they're just like chunky little raccoons, and I love them because they're cute. But I'm just using, I think, warm gray 9 and 7 for the darker parts. And then I'm using 7 and 5. No, 5 and 3 for the body. And then for the inner ears, I used the number 1, which is just like the lightest color. I probably could have put a different color in there, but that's fine. For this other raccoon that I'm coloring right now, I'm not coloring the tail because I'm going to be cutting that off because he's going to be sitting in the trash can and the tail doesn't fit. So I'm going to cut that off. And then I'll just use my white gel pen to go over those lines, just kind of like white them out so it looks like they weren't there to begin with. And it works great. I didn't even bother coloring the bottom half of the raccoon because I'm just going to stick it literally under the garbage can. Like, the way I fussy cut out the garbage can is I cut around the image and then I cut the inner portion out so that I could put the inner portion down first, put the raccoon down, and then put the top down. Because I'm doing this with sticker paper, that's the way I had to do it. If I wanted to do it on cardstock, then I would have just used the die probably, because the die cuts out a slit so you could stick a raccoon in it. But because I was using sticker paper, I didn't want it to cut through it all the way, and then it would be hard for me to stick the other raccoon to it through the slit because they're both stickers. So I just did it this way. It was a little bit easier. And I am going to use the die for the apples just because I didn't want to have to cut out 3 little apples by hand. I don't know why. There's just like simple little shapes, but I was just like, okay, you're going to use the dies for this one in particular, and that was it. But it did help. So I'm just going to cut this out because you're not going to watch me cut the same thing 3 times. And then I'm just going to go back to my page and sample it. Basically, I'm just putting the raccoons in the bottom right-hand corner and then going over to the left. And as usual, you'll watch me struggle with the sticker paper, trying to get the backing off. I've tried so many different ways. Sometimes my nails work better. I don't have much nails right now because I've cut them all off. But I just, put the top of the outer portion of the trash bin down with the backing still on it so that I can place the inner portion on the top of it and just line it up properly. Then I just stuck the raccoon down, and then I'm just going to stick the front down, trying to line it back up with that inner portion. And then the raccoon's just sitting there in his trash can now with his apple. He's just digging out all the good apples. Should have put some like brown spots on these or something to at least make it look like they're trash pandas looking for whatever tossed apples that were in the garbage can because they were bad, but they found good ones, so it's a happy ending. But anyway, I'm just gonna add some white highlights here with my gel pen, and that's pretty much my page for today and for the month. But anyway, thanks for joining me for today, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know your thoughts. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe because we have lots and lots of videos coming out soon, especially since, I mean, June's just starting, but you know, Christmas in July will be next month, so there will be a ton of videos, so stay tuned. But until next time, thanks guys, bye.